Once again, here we are. Once again, story time with Paul B. And this is a Thursday, actually. And this is a story that many of you very well may have heard before, but maybe you haven't heard it the way I tell it. The story I'm about to tell tonight is my go to move whenever I get an opportunity to speak at nonprofit organizations. For those of you who are just being introduced to Storytime with Paul B., my name is Brian K. McNeill. I'm the sales confidence coach. And as a sales coach and trainer, and as a speaker, professional speaker for 29 years, almost 30 years now, I've been in the industry doing this kind of thing. There are some stories that you collect along the way that you seem to hold on to and tell again and again and again. And tonight I have another one. These are another one of these stories that go into the category of useful fiction stories. Useful fiction stories. Stories with a point. This is one that I think is very, very good. Hello to those of you who are joining me. So let's cue the music and let's get this party started.
Hey, yeah, come through, everybody come see. Story time with Paul B.
Yeah.
If entertainment is what you need, story time with Paul B. Yeah. Interesting, entertaining for sure. Stories for adults, parents to entrepreneurs. Got you laughing, you gonna have a good time. Still educational, this is what you want now.
Come through, everybody come see.
Story time with Paul B.
Yeah.
If entertainment is what you need, story time with Paul B. Let's go.
Story time with Paul B. Let's get into it. A man is asleep and is awakened by an angel. The angel says, "Come with me." The angel takes this man to a banquet hall. And in this banquet hall, there's this really long table. And on this table, there is food. There's turkey, there's ham, there's roast beef, there's corn, there's breads. The table looks good and it smells good. And on either side of this table, there are people seated there. The man says to the angel, "What are you showing me?" He says, "Look at the people." And he looks at the people while sitting before this bountiful feast. The people look emaciated. They are starving and they're crying and they're in pain and they look hungry. What's going on? He says, "Look at the people carefully." And he looks at the people and he sees that their torsos are tied to the back of the chairs and they can't lean forward. And attached to their left hand is a 3-foot long fork. And attached to their right hand is a 3-foot long knife. And try as they might, they can't feed themselves. So they sit there in front of this bountiful feast, looking at the food while in pain and starving to death. The man says, "What are you showing me?" He says, "Come with me." He takes him to another banquet hall. And in this banquet hall is similar to the first. There's this long table with all of the delicious foods on the table. He says, "Look at the people." In this room, the people are happy and they're smiling and they're well fed. He says, "Look closely at the people in this room, just like in the first. Their backs are tied to the chairs and they can't lean forward. And attached to the left hand is a 3-foot long fork. And attached to the right hand is a 3-foot long knife. And in this room, they're very well fed because in this room, everybody is focused on feeding the one in front of them. And the one in front of them is focused on feeding them. So while they feed each other, everyone gets well fed. And they're happy about that. The man says, "What is the point of what you're showing me?" The angel says to him, "In that first room, when you see all those people miserable and starving, everyone in that room is focused on feeding themselves, and they can't. In this room, everyone's focused on feeding the one in front of them, and they can. That first room is an example of what hell is like. This second room is an example of what heaven can be like." Now, I like that story. There's so many applications to that story. There's so many different meanings to that story, and you can draw your own. But the way I like to look at it is when you focus on feeding and on focused on serving the ones in front of you, you can experience more of what heaven is like right here on this earth right now. I titled this story the story of the banquet hall and heaven and hell, the heaven and hell banquet hall. And I really believe that's the case. So much of the time, when we're focused only on ourselves, we live in our personal hells. When we're focused on serving those around us, we enjoy our whole lives more. Again, my name is Brian K. McNeill. I'm hoping you found some value in this story. Please, please, please feel free to share these stories. Share them on your LinkedIn. Share these stories on your Facebook. Share these stories through my YouTube. Again, my name is Brian K. McNeill. I enjoy telling these stories with Paul B. Let's cue the music once again. Story time with Paul B. Entertainment is what you need. Story time with Paul B. Interesting, entertaining for sure. Stories for adults, parents to entrepreneurs. Got you laughing, you gonna have a good time. Still educational, this is what you want now. Come through, everybody come see. Story time with Paul B. Yeah. If entertainment is what you need. Story time with Paul B. Let's go. I intend to tell these stories each week, Sunday night through Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join me, the replays are available. I appreciate all of you who have chosen to join me tonight so far. God bless you and have a beautiful rest of your evening. Consider this your bedtime story.